The metal ladle came down on my head with a crack that echoed through the kitchen. Pain exploded across my skull. Hot broth ran down my face into my eyes, dripping onto my shoulders. The smell of vegetables mixed with the copper taste of blood in my mouth. My ears rang like church bells on Sunday morning. "Who cooks like that useless woman?" Sloane's voice cut through the ringing, sharp, mocking, loud enough for everyone to hear. Her friends erupted in laughter, high-pitched squeals that bounced off the granite countertops. One of them, the blonde with the designer handbag, held up her phone, recording. The red light blinked at me like a tiny demon's eye. I stood there, 73 years old with soup dripping down my face. My hands shook at my sides, not from fear, from something else. Something that had been building for 3 years and finally broke loose. Hi, viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Sloane tossed the ladle into the sink. It clattered against the stainless steel, loud in the sudden silence. "Clean this up," she said. Her voice flat now, bored. "And order takeout. You've ruined dinner." She turned to leave. They all turned to leave. Back to the living room. Back to their perfect afternoon of gossip and wine. Like nothing happened. Like they hadn't just humiliated an old woman for sport. I wiped the broth from my eyes with the back of my hand. It burned. The soup was still hot. My scalp throbbed where the ladle had connected. I could feel a bump forming already, but that pain was nothing compared to the rage building in my chest. I walked to the drawer. The one next to the stove, the one where I kept important papers tucked beneath the dish towels. My fingers found the manila folder. The edges were worn from me touching it, checking it, making sure it was still there. 3 months. I'd been building this folder for 3 months. 3 months of planning they knew nothing about. I pulled it out. The weight of it felt good in my hands, solid, real, proof. My name is Cordelia Winters. I'm 73 years old, and 5 minutes from now, everything in this house is going to change. The kitchen floor felt solid under my feet, more solid than it had in years. I opened the folder. My fingers, still shaking, still covered in soup, traced the top document. Legal letterhead, official stamps, words that meant power. Sloane's laughter drifted in from the living room. That high, fake sound she made when she wanted her friends to think she was having the time of her life. I closed my eyes, took a breath. The smell of burned soup filled my nose. My soup. The soup I'd made in their kitchen. In my kitchen. In the house I'd paid for. The house they thought was theirs. I opened my eyes. 5 minutes, that's all I needed. 5 minutes to show them who really had the power here. My fingers found my phone in my pocket. The screen lit up. I pulled up the first number. The one I'd saved 3 months ago. The one I'd called twice a week since then, updating him, keeping him ready. I pressed dial, 1 ring, 2 rings. "Mrs. Winters." His voice was calm, professional. "Is it time?" I looked toward the living room, heard their voices. Heard Sloane saying something about me, probably. Heard them laughing again. "Yes," I said. My voice didn't shake. "It's time." The lawyer on the other end of the line didn't waste words. "I'll file the paperwork within the hour. The restraining order will be processed by morning. Are you safe right now?" "I'm fine," I said. "Do it. All of it, everything we discussed. Consider it done. You'll have the documents by email in 30 minutes. I hung up, dialed the second number. The real estate agent answered on the first ring. She'd been waiting for my call too. "Cordelia, talk to me." "List it," I said. "Today, right now, I want the sign in the yard by morning." She whistled low. "You're sure? Once I list it, there's no going back." I've never been more sure of anything in my life. "I'll have the photographer here in 2 hours. Professional staging team tomorrow morning. We'll have this place sold in a week." "Make it hurt," I said. "Price it to sell fast." She understood. "Oh, it's going to hurt. I'll call you back in 10 minutes with the listing details." Third call. This one was harder. My finger hovered over the contact. Adult Protective Services. I'd never thought I'd have to call them. Never thought my own son would let things get this bad. But here we were. I pressed dial. The woman who answered had a kind voice. Too kind. It made my throat tight. Adult Protective Services, how can I help you? My name is Cordelia Winters. I'm 73 years old. I live with my son and daughter-in-law. I need to file a report. What type of situation are you reporting, ma'am? Financial abuse? Emotional abuse? Physical abuse as of today? My voice cracked on the last word. I have documentation. Photos, recordings, bank statements, everything. Ma'am, are you in immediate danger? Not anymore, I said, Anathi. Not after tonight. She took my information, asked questions. I answered them all. Told her about the equity from my house, about the way they treated me, about the ladle. An investigator will contact you within 24 hours, she said. And ma'am, you did the right thing calling us. I hung up. The folder sat open on the counter next to me, documents spread across the surface, proof of everything I'd just said, proof they couldn't deny. I picked up the folder, walked toward the living room. My feet made no sound on the hardwood floor. I'd learned to walk quietly in this house, to not disturb, to not be noticed. But I was done being quiet. The living room looked like a magazine spread. Sloan always made sure of that. White couch, glass coffee table. Everything perfectly arranged. Her friends sprawled across the furniture, wine glasses in hand, phones out, living their best lives. Sloan looked up when I entered, saw my face. Her smile faltered for just a second. Then she recovered. Did you order the takeout? I didn't answer. I walked to the coffee table, stood there looking down at them. 5 women, all younger than me, all prettier than me, all convinced they were better than me. I dropped the folder on the glass table. It landed with a thump. Documents fanned out across the surface. Legal papers, ownership papers. The ones that showed the truth they'd been ignoring for 3 years. Sloane's eyes went to the papers, then to me. What is this? Read it, I said. She reached for the top document. Her perfectly manicured fingers, those blood-red nails, picked it up. Her eyes scanned the page. I watched her face change, watched the color drain, watched her mouth open slightly. This house is going up for sale, Simai said. My voice was steady, calm. Tomorrow morning, there will be a sign in the yard. Photographers will be here to take listing photos. Staging team comes the day after. Sloane's head snapped up. You can't. I can. I pointed to the document in her hand. That paper right there shows I own 60% of this house. You never filed the equity transfer properly. My money bought the majority of this property, which means I have controlling interest. One of her friends leaned forward, squinted at the papers. Is that real? Very real, I said. Verified by 3 different lawyers, notarized, filed with the county. Legal and binding. Sloane stood up. The document fluttered to the floor. Wyatt will never assume. Wyatt doesn't have a choice. Neither do you. I'm exercising my legal right as majority owner to sell this property. You have 30 days to vacate, both of you. The room was silent. Even the friends had stopped their smirking. Their phones were down, eyes wide. You can't do this. Sloane's voice was shaking now. Where will we go? What about Greer? You should have thought about that before you hit me with a ladle. I bent down, picked up another document from the pile. This one's my favorite. It's a detailed report of every instance of abuse over the past 3 years. Dates, times, photos, voice recordings. I documented everything. Her face went white. Actually white. Like all the blood had drained straight to her feet. You recorded us? Every Wednesday, I said. Every insult, every order. Every time you called me useless. Every time you made me feel like garbage in my own house. I smiled. It felt strange on my face. Turns out these new phones have excellent recording quality. And my hearing aid has a recording function. Who knew? One of the friends stood up, grabbed her purse. I should go. Good idea, I said. Because you're all over these recordings too. Every laugh, every snide comment. Every time you treated me like the help. It's all documented. Tid. They scrambled. All of them. Suddenly they remembered important appointments, places they needed to be. The front door opened and closed 4 times in less than 2 minutes. Sloane stood alone in her perfect living room, surrounded by the papers that were about to destroy her perfect life. The real estate agent will call you tomorrow about showing times, I said. I suggest you keep the house clean. First impressions matter. I turned to walk away. Wait. Her voice was small now, scared. What about Wyatt? What about Greer? I stopped. Didn't turn around. Wyatt made his choice 3 years ago when he let you talk him into taking my house. As for Greer, I've already filed for grandparents' rights. My lawyer is very confident, especially with all this documentation of your treatment of me. Judges don't look kindly on that. You're destroying our family. I did turn around then, looked her right in the eyes. No, Sloane. You did that the day you decided I was worth less than the dirt on your shoes. I'm just making sure you can't do it to anyone else. The sound that came from the living room 5 seconds later was something I'll never forget. A crash, shattering. I didn't even have to look to know what it was. Sloane's champagne glass. The expensive one, the one she'd been holding. It slipped right out of her fingers, smashed on the hardwood floor, pieces everywhere, just like her perfect life. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up. Let me tell you how I got here. How an old woman with soup in her hair became the owner of a house she was supposed to be grateful to live in. My name is Cordelia Winters, and I turned 73 last October. For 52 years, I built what most people would call an ordinary life. A 3-bedroom ranch house in suburban Ohio. Brown shutters. Small front yard with rose bushes I planted myself. Creaky third step on the stairs that I never fixed because it reminded me someone was coming. I worked as a bookkeeper at a manufacturing plant. 42 years at the same company, same desk, same view of the parking lot through a window that never quite closed all the way. In winter, I wore a sweater even inside. My husband died when our son Wyatt was 12. Heart attack, no warning. He kissed me goodbye on a Tuesday morning, told me he'd fix the loose cabinet door that weekend. By Tuesday afternoon, he was gone. I raised Wyatt alone after that. Single mother. That's what they called me at school meetings, at church, at the grocery store where people looked at me with a mix of pity and suspicion. Like being alone with a child was something shameful, something to whisper about, but I didn't care what they thought. I had Wyatt, and Wyatt had me. That was enough. I taught him everything I knew, how to balance a checkbook on the first try, how to treat people with respect even when they didn't deserve it, how to work hard without complaining, how to stay humble even when you wanted to brag. He learned, he listened, he grew up good, high school honor roll, never missed a day of work at his part-time job bagging groceries, saved his money for college, applied to 12 schools on his own, got accepted to 8, he graduated college, first in our entire family. First Winters to walk across that stage in a cap and gown. I sat in the bleachers, 4th row because I got there early and cried so hard I couldn't see him receive his diploma. My chest ached with pride, physical pain from loving someone that much. He got a job in pharmaceutical sales, good money, company car, benefits. The kind of job I dreamed about when I was young but never thought was possible for someone like me. I thought I'd done everything right, raised him perfect, set him up for success. Then he met Sloane. November, 5 years ago. Wyatt called on a Monday evening. Mom, I'm bringing someone home for Thanksgiving. Her name is Sloane. You're going to love her. The way he said her name, like it was made of glass. Fragile, precious. I should have known then. Should have heard the warning in his voice. Thanksgiving came. I cooked for 3 days. Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, pumpkin pie from scratch. Set the table with my good plates, the ones I'd gotten as wedding gifts and used maybe 5 times in 30 years. The doorbell rang at exactly 2 o'clock. Wyatt walked in first. He looked good. New suit jacket, haircut fresh, smile so big it took up his whole face. Then she walked in behind him. Sloane. She wore a cream-colored sweater that probably cost more than my monthly grocery bill. Cashmere. I could tell by the way it moved, heels so high I wondered how she walked without breaking an ankle. Her hair fell in perfect waves down her back, not a strand out of place. Makeup applied so expertly it looked like she wasn't wearing any. She was beautiful, the kind of beautiful that makes regular people feel ugly. Mrs. Winters. She extended a hand. Her nails were painted the color of fresh blood, long, sharp. I've heard so much about you. I shook her hand. Her grip was firm, too firm, like she was trying to prove something. Her skin was cold despite the warm house. Call me Cordelia, I said. I smiled, tried to mean it. Mrs. Winters was my mother-in-law, and we didn't get along. I meant it as a joke. An icebreaker. She laughed, but it was wrong. The sound didn't match her face, didn't reach her eyes. Wyatt didn't notice. He was too busy staring at her like she'd personally hung the moon and painted the stars. Dinner was painful. Sloane picked at her turkey, pushed the stuffing around her plate, took tiny bites and chewed forever like she was counting every calorie. When I asked if everything was okay, she smiled that smile again. It's delicious, Cordelia, really. I'm just not very hungry. But then she asked, did you use organic vegetables? I blinked. No, I got them at the regular grocery store, the one on 5th Street. She nodded, slow, thoughtful, like I'd just admitted to serving poison. Oh, that's fine. I just try to avoid pesticides when I can. Better for your health. The way she said your health, like mine was already ruined. Like I was too old to save. Wyatt jumped in. The food is amazing, Mom, just like always. He ate 3 helpings, praised everything, tried to fill the awkward silence Sloane had created. After dinner, we sat in the living room. My furniture was old, I knew that. The couch had been there since Wyatt was in high school, floral pattern, a cigarette burn on one arm from when my husband's brother visited. The coffee table was scratched. The TV was small. Sloane sat on the edge of the couch, perched, like she might catch something from the upholstery. You have a lovely home, she said. But her eyes said something different. They swept the room, cataloged every worn surface, every outdated decoration, every sign that I wasn't rich, wasn't fancy, wasn't her. They left after 2 hours. Wyatt hugged me at the door, tight. Thanks, Mom. That was perfect. Over his shoulder, I saw Sloane checking her phone. Already disconnected, already done with me. The next 2 years weren't terrible. They lived downtown in a condo, modern, sleek, the kind of place that's shown in magazines. I visited once. Everything was white or glass. I was afraid to touch anything. They came to see me maybe once a month. Holidays, Wyatt's birthday. They'd eat my food, stay a few hours, leave. And every time, Sloane had suggestions. The potatoes could use more salt. The chicken's a little dry. Have you thought about updating your kitchen? These cabinets are so outdated. You should really get a new couch. This one smells old. I bit my tongue every time. Smiled, nodded. Thanked her for the input. Wyatt never corrected her, never defended me, just laughed it off. Sloane's really into home design. She doesn't mean anything by it. But she did mean something. She meant I wasn't good enough. My house wasn't good enough. My cooking wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough for her Wyatt. Then she got pregnant. Everything changed after that. They showed up at my door on a Tuesday evening. April. No phone call first, no warning. Just the doorbell ringing at 7:30. I opened the door. Sloane stood there with her hand on her belly, small bump, maybe 4 months along. She looked tired. Her perfect hair was pulled back, no makeup. For once, she looked human. Wyatt cleared his throat 3 times before he spoke. Mom, we need to talk about something. My heart dropped. The way he said it, heavy, serious. I knew before he said another word that my life was about to change. We sat in my living room, the one with the furniture Sloane hated. She perched on the edge of the couch. Again, always perched, never relaxed, never comfortable in my space. We've been discussing childcare, Wyatt started. He wasn't looking at me, he was looking at his hands. With Sloane's career and my travel schedule for work, we need you to move in with us, Sloane cut him off. Direct, no softening the blow. After the baby comes. I blinked, looked at Wyatt. He finally met my eyes. There was guilt there. He knew what he was asking. Move in? I repeated. We bought a bigger house, Wyatt said quickly, words tumbling out. 4 bedrooms, big yard, good school district. You'd have your own space, your own room, and you could help with the baby. Sloan wants to go back to work after 6 weeks. Daycare costs are insane. This way, the baby gets family care. You get to be involved. Everyone wins. It makes sense, Cordelia. Sloane's voice was matter of fact, businesslike. You're retired, you're alone here, and we need the help. It's perfect. The way she said alone, like it was a disease, a condition that needed fixing, like my independence was something to pity. You'd be doing us such a favor, Mom. Wyatt's eyes pleaded, begged. This was my boy, my son who I'd raised alone, who I'd sacrificed everything for. We really need you. I looked around my living room, my house, the place where I'd raised Wyatt, where every wall held a memory, every room told a story, but when I looked at my son's face, my baby who wasn't a baby anymore, I couldn't say no. Okay, I said, my voice was quiet, small. I'll help. Sloane smiled. Finally, a real smile. Because she'd won. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. This is going to be great for everyone. She reached into her purse, pulled out a folder, set it on my coffee table. We'll need you to sell this place. The equity can help with the down payment on the new house. The room tilted, just slightly, like the floor had shifted beneath my feet. Sell my house? Well, you won't need it, Sloane said. Simple. Obvious. Like I was stupid for not understanding. You'll be living with us, and the money would really help. The new house is expensive, so your equity would cover about 30% of the down payment. I looked at Wyatt, waited for him to say something, to tell her no, to protect me. He wouldn't meet my eyes. It makes sense, Mom, he said finally, quietly. You'd be helping us get into a better house. Bigger space for everyone. Better neighborhood for the baby. What about when you don't need me anymore? My voice cracked. Where do I go then? You'll always have a place with us, Wyatt said. He reached over, squeezed my hand. This is forever, Mom. Family. You'll never be alone again. Famous last words. 2 months later, I signed the papers. My house, the one I'd paid off 5 years early, the one I'd worked overtime for, the one that held every memory of my marriage and motherhood, went to a young couple with twins. The closing was quick, efficient. The realtor handed me a check, $178,000, 42 years of mortgage payments, 42 years of home repairs and lawn care and loving every inch of that place, reduced to a check. I handed it to Wyatt. He deposited it into his and Sloane's joint account. For the family home, he said. For our future together. I moved into their new house the week before the baby came. My room was on the main floor, past the kitchen, down a short hallway. It had been designed as an office. Built-in bookshelves on one wall, a window that looked out at the neighbor's fence. They'd put a bed in there, a dresser, cleared out one closet. That was my space. Maybe 200 square feet. Upstairs, the master suite had a bedroom, a sitting area with a love seat and fireplace, a walk-in closet bigger than my entire room, and a bathroom with a soaking tub. The sitting area alone was bigger than my space. But I didn't complain. I smiled. Unpacked my boxes, tried to make it feel like home. Baby Greer arrived on April 14th, 7 pounds, 3 ounces, dark hair like Wyatt's, Sloane's sharp chin, tiny fist that gripped my finger when I held her. I stood in that hospital room looking down at her, and my heart cracked wide open. Love flooded in so fast and so hard it hurt to breathe. You're going to help so much, Cordelia. Sloane's voice came from the hospital bed. She looked exhausted, hair flat, no makeup, vulnerable for maybe the first time since I'd met her. I don't know what we'd do without you. I believed her. I wanted to believe her. For the first few months, I didn't mind the arrangement. Greer was beautiful, perfect. I woke up with her for the 2 a.m. feeding so Sloane could sleep. I changed diapers until my hands smelled like baby wipes. I did laundry, sterilized bottles, walked her around the house at 3 in the morning when she wouldn't stop crying. Sloane went back to work right at 6 weeks, exactly on schedule. Wyatt traveled for work 3 days a week. Sometimes four. I was alone with Greer most days, just the two of us. I sang her the same songs I'd sung to Wyatt. You are my sunshine. Hush, little baby, nursery rhymes I'd learned from my own mother. I pushed her around the neighborhood in the stroller, showed her flowers, pointed out birds, talked to her like she understood every word. She smiled when she saw me, reached for me with those tiny hands when she was upset, calmed down when I held her. I thought things would be okay. Different than I'd planned, but okay. Then Greer turned one, and Sloane started inviting people over. Wednesday afternoons. That's when they came. 4 or 5 women from Sloane's office or gym or book club or wherever she collected people who dressed like her and talked like her and looked at the world like they owned it. They'd arrive around 3 o'clock, designer purses, iced coffee and cups from expensive cafes, sunglasses pushed up on perfect hair. They'd take over the living room, sprawl across the furniture, kick off their shoes, laugh loud, talk about people I didn't know and places I'd never been. I was expected to watch Greer, keep her quiet, make snacks. Cordelia, could you bring out the cheese board? Sloane would call from the living room. Not please, not when you have a minute. Just an order, a command. I'd slice cheese in the kitchen, arrange crackers on a wooden board, cut vegetables, spoon hummus into a bowl, all while Greer clung to my leg. She didn't like the noise, didn't like the strangers. I'd carry the tray out, my hands full, my back aching. I'd set it on the coffee table, carefully so nothing spilled. Thanks, Cordelia, one of them would say. Without looking up, eyes still on her phone, like I was the help, like I was paid to be there. I'd retreat to the kitchen, to my place, the place where I belonged now. I'd stand at the counter, watch Greer play with blocks, listen to their laughter float in from the other room. That's what it became, my place. The kitchen, where I cooked and cleaned and stayed out of the way. Sloane had rules, so many rules. Don't cook anything with strong smells before 6. It bothered her. Don't let Greer watch TV. Screen time was bad for development. Don't use the good towels. Those were for guests. Don't park in the driveway where guests could see my old car. Don't run the vacuum while she was on work calls. Don't. I followed every rule. What choice did I have? I had nowhere to go. The money from my house was gone. Swallowed into their mortgage. My savings were thin. I'd used most of it to help Wyatt through college. Social Security covered my basic bills, groceries, medicine, gas for my car, but I couldn't afford rent on my own, not anymore, not at my age, not in this economy. I was trapped in a house I'd helped buy, following rules in what used to be partly mine, but everyone forgot that, including me sometimes. The disrespect grew slowly. So slowly, I didn't realize how bad it was until I was drowning in it, and Sloane stopped saying please or thank you. She'd leave lists on the kitchen counter in the morning, things I needed to do, groceries to buy, errands to run, always phrased as expectations, never as requests. Cordelia, need milk, bread, chicken. Also pick up my dry cleaning. Here's cash. She'd put 2 20s on the counter, wouldn't look at me, just walk away. My money went to their groceries, my car went to their errands, my time went to their life. She started correcting me in front of Greer. No, Cordelia, we don't give her that. I've told you before. Her voice sharp enough to cut, loud enough to make Greer flinch. When I tried to talk to Wyatt, he'd sigh. Like I was the problem, like I was being difficult. Mom, you know how stressed Sloane is. Work is crazy right now. Just try to be more flexible. More flexible. I was 73 years old, raising their child, cooking their meals, cleaning their house, my house, the one I'd paid for, and I needed to be more flexible. The friends got worse. They'd leave their shoes scattered in the hallway, drop crumbs on the white couch and walk away. Spill wine and not tell me until it stained. Once I heard one of them ask Sloane, "Is that your housekeeper?" Sloane laughed, light, casual. No, that's Wyatt's mother. She lives with us. The way she said lives with us, like it was charity. Like they were saints for taking me in, like I should be grateful every single day for the privilege of being invisible in my own house. I started eating dinner alone in my room. It was easier than sitting at the table while Sloane critiqued everything I'd made. Too salty, too bland, too much, not enough. Never right. Never good enough. Greer turned 2, then 3. She started pulling away from me. I'd reach for her and she'd hesitate. Look at her mother first. Wait for permission. I'd catch Sloane whispering things to her, couldn't hear the words, but I saw Greer's face afterward. Confused, uncertain, like she didn't know if Grammy was good or bad anymore. Grammy's busy, Sloane would say when Greer reached for me, her voice sweet, patient. Come here instead, baby. I felt myself disappearing, becoming invisible in a house I'd bought, a ghost who cooked and cleaned and existed at the edges of their perfect life. That Wednesday started like every other Wednesday. Sloane's friends were coming at 3. She left me a list on the counter: cheese, crackers, vegetables, hummus, cookies, all arranged nice. All perfect, done. I'd spent the morning with Greer at the park, the one 4 blocks away. We'd gone on the swings, slid down the slide together. She'd laughed, actually laughed. For a moment, she was my granddaughter again, not Sloane's trained puppet. Then she fell. Not bad, just tripped on the mulch, scraped her knee, blood, tears, fear in her little eyes. I scooped her up, carried her to the bench, cleaned the scrape with water from my bottle, put a bandage on from the first aid kit I always carried, kissed it better like I used to kiss Wyatt's scrapes. All better, I said. You're so brave. She hugged me, tight, her little arms around my neck. I love you, Grammy. My heart broke and healed in the same moment. We came home, 1:30. Sloane was there, early. She was supposed to be at work. What happened? She zeroed in on the bandage. Crouched down, grabbed Greer's leg, examined her like I'd broken bones. Cordelia, what happened? She fell at the park. It's just a scrape. I cleaned it. I told you to be more careful with her. Sloane stood up, looked at me, her eyes cold, hard. You have to watch her better, Cordelia. She could have really hurt herself. I swallowed my response. The defense that wanted to come out. Kids fall. It's normal. It's part of growing up. But I said nothing, just nodded. My friends will be here soon, Sloane said. Already moving on. Already done with me. I need you to make something for dinner. Something simple. Nothing that will stink up the house. I went to the kitchen, started pulling out ingredients. I had chicken thawed. But Sloane said no strong smells, so I pivoted. Soup, simple, easy. Vegetable soup, nothing offensive. I chopped carrots, celery, onions. The rhythm of the knife was soothing, familiar. This was something I could do, something I was good at. No one could mess this up. I could hear Sloane in the living room, moving furniture around, fluffing pillows, making everything perfect for people who wouldn't notice, people who took perfection for granted. 3:15. The doorbell rang. High-pitched voices flooded the house. The click of heels on hardwood. Laughter. So much laughter. The kind that makes you feel small when you're not part of it. I stirred the soup, added salt, just a little. Tasted it, added pepper. Tasted again. It was good. Simple, but good. They couldn't complain about this. Then I heard them coming. Footsteps, multiple pairs, heading toward the kitchen. Sloane's voice carried ahead of them. Can't even follow simple instructions. I specifically said. They appeared in the doorway, all 5 of them. Sloane in front, her friends fanning out behind her like backup singers, like a gang, like wolves. I kept stirring, didn't look up. Maybe if I didn't engage, they'd leave. Cordelia, Sloane's voice had that edge, the one that meant trouble. What are you making? Vegetable soup, I said. Quiet, calm. For dinner. One of her friends, the brunette with the designer workout clothes, wrinkled her nose. Leaned forward, sniffed dramatically. It smells strong. It didn't. It smelled like vegetables and broth, normal, like every soup I'd ever made. But I didn't argue. I'd learned not to argue. Sloane stepped closer, peered into the pot. This is how you're making it? Yes. She reached past me, grabbed the salt shaker, shook it over the pot, 3 times, 4, 5. Salt rained down into the soup. See, you've already ruined it. That's way too much salt. My fingers tightened on the wooden spoon. She'd just added salt, while claiming I'd used too much, while her friends watched, while they all waited to see what I'd do. And why are the carrots cut so big? Another friend chimed in. The blonde, the one who was always on her phone. Don't you know they need to be uniform? That's basic cooking. Laughter, sharp and sudden, like knives. My grandmother cooks better than this, someone else said. And she's 85. More laughter, louder now, feeding off each other. They were enjoying this. This was entertainment. The old woman in the kitchen, the burden, the joke. My hand shook on the spoon, not from fear, from rage building in my chest, in my throat, in my skull. Honestly, Cordelia, how hard is it to make soup? Sloane's voice rose, mocking, theatrical, performing for her audience. This is embarrassing. Her hand shot out, fast, grabbed the ladle from my other hand, yanked it hard. Hot broth splashed onto my hand, burned. Pain shot up my arm. Before I could react, before I could speak, she raised the ladle high above her head. Her eyes locked on mine, cold, calculating, cruel. Then she brought it down. The metal connected with the top of my head with a crack that echoed. Pain exploded across my skull. Stars burst behind my eyes. Hot soup ran down my face, into my eyes, down my neck, soaking into my shirt. Who cooks like that, useless woman? Sloane's voice was shrill, ugly, the mask completely off now. You can't do anything right? Her friends erupted, squealing, laughing, phones out, recording, the red recording lights like demon eyes, watching, documenting my humiliation. I stood there, soup dripping, head throbbing, something hot and thick pulsing through my veins. Not embarrassment, not shame, pure rage. Sloane tossed the ladle into the sink. It clattered loud, metal against metal. Clean this up, she ordered, her back already turning. And order takeout. You've ruined dinner again. She walked away. They all walked away, back to the living room, back to their wine and their phones and their perfect afternoon, like nothing happened. Like they hadn't just assaulted an old woman for sport. Like I was nothing. I wiped the soup from my eyes. My hands shook. My head pounded where the ladle had hit. I could feel a bump forming, swelling, throbbing with my heartbeat. I looked at the kitchen. My kitchen. The one I'd cleaned 1,000 times, the one where I'd cooked meals no one appreciated, the one where I'd become invisible. Not anymore. I walked to the drawer, the one next to the stove, the one where I kept my important papers. My hand was steady now, certain, clear. My fingers found the manila folder, the one I'd been building, the one they didn't know existed. 3 months of planning, 3 months of documentation, 3 months of quiet preparation. I pulled it out. The weight felt good. Solid, real, power. I opened it. Right there at the kitchen counter, looked down at the top document. Legal letterhead, official stamps, words that changed everything. My name is Cordelia Winters. I'm 73 years old, and in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to destroy everything Sloane thought she had. I pulled my phone from my pocket. Screen lit up. First number already queued, the one I'd been saving, the one I'd updated twice a week for 3 months. I pressed dial. 1 ring. He answered. Mrs. Winters, is it time? Yes, I said. My voice didn't shake. File everything. Now. 3 months ago, I'd walked into a lawyer's office. Not the family lawyer Wyatt used, a different one Sloane didn't know about. I'd brought my paperwork, the deed to my old house, the equity check, the deposit slip showing where my money went, the mortgage documents on this house. I need you to tell me who owns this house, I'd said. Legally, officially. He'd looked through everything. Took 2 hours. Then he'd looked up at me with something like respect in his eyes. Mrs. Winters. They never filed the equity transfer properly. According to these documents, you own 60% of this property. You're the majority shareholder. I'd blinked. What does that mean? It means you can sell this house whether they want you to or not. It means you have controlling interest. It means legally, this is more your house than theirs. I'd sat back in the chair, let that sink in. Can they fight it? They can try, but the paperwork is clear. Your money bought the majority of this property. The deed reflects that. They'd lose in court badly. What do I need to do? Document everything, every instance of abuse, financial, emotional, physical, if it comes to that. Build a case. And when you're ready to move fast. Don't give them time to countersue or file injunctions. So I documented every Wednesday. Every insult, every instance of being treated like garbage. My hearing aid recorded it all. My phone took pictures. My bank statements showed where my money went, always to their needs, never to mine. I'd built a case, quietly, carefully, while they laughed at me, while they treated me like nothing. And now it was time to use it. Filing now, the lawyer said on the phone. Restraining order, ownership documentation, eviction notice. They'll be served by morning. Good, I said. What about the house? That's up to you. You can force a sale. You own controlling interest, or you can buy them out. But given the abuse documentation, I'd recommend forcing the sale and walking away clean. Force the sale, I said. No hesitation. I want them out. Consider it done. You'll have copies of everything within the hour. Second call. Real estate agent. She'd been waiting too. I'd met with her 2 weeks ago, told her the situation. She'd been eager. Houses in this neighborhood sold fast. Cordelia, she answered. Professional, ready. We doing this? Listed today. I want the sign up tomorrow morning. How fast do you want it sold? Fast. Price it to move. She whistled. Oh, honey, this is going to hurt them. I'll have my photographer there in 2 hours. We'll have professional photos by tonight. Listing goes live at midnight. I'll bet you have offers by this weekend. Make it happen. Third call, harder. My finger hovered over the number. Adult Protective Services. I'd never thought I'd have to call them. Never imagined my own family would drive me to this. But here we were. The woman who answered had a kind voice. Probably trained to be kind. To handle people in crisis. Adult Protective Services, how can I help you? My name is Cordelia Winters. I'm 73 years old. I need to file a report. She asked questions. I answered, told her about the financial abuse, about being forced to sell my house, about the equity going into their account, about the treatment, the rules, the isolation, the humiliation, about the ladle. Ma'am, are you safe right now? I am now, I said. I have documentation. Photos, recordings, bank statements, everything you need. Someone will contact you within 24 hours. And Mrs. Winters, you're very brave. Many people in your situation never call us. I hung up, stood in the kitchen, soup still dripping down my face. But I felt different. Taller, stronger, like I'd found something I'd lost years ago, myself. I picked up the folder, walked toward the living room, my feet silent on the hardwood. I'd learned to walk quietly in this house, to not disturb, to not exist. But I was done being quiet now. The living room looked like a catalog. White couch, glass coffee table, everything perfect. Sloane's friends sprawled across the furniture, wine glasses, phones, living their best lives, using my house as their playground. Sloane looked up when I entered, saw my face. Her smile faltered, just for a second, then recovered. Put the mask back on. Did you order the takeout? I didn't answer, just walked to the coffee table, stood there looking down at all of them. 5 women, younger than me, prettier than me, all convinced they were better than me. I dropped the folder on the glass table. It landed with a satisfying thump. Documents fanned out across the surface, legal papers, ownership papers, truth they'd been ignoring. Sloane's eyes went to the papers, then to me. What is this? Read it. Her hand reached out, hesitant now, picked up the top document. Her eyes scanned it. I watched her face change, watched the color drain, watched her mouth open. This house is going up for sale tomorrow morning, I said. My voice was steady, clear, loud enough for everyone to hear. There will be a for sale sign in the yard. Professional photographer coming tonight. Staging team Friday. First showing this weekend. Sloane's head snapped up. You can't. I can. I pointed to the paper in her hand. That document shows I own 60% of this house. Controlling interest. You never filed the equity transfer properly. My money bought this house. Which means I can sell it? One of the friends leaned forward, squinted at the papers. Wait, is this real? Very real. Verified by 3 lawyers. Notarized. Filed with the county, legal and binding. Sloane stood up fast. The document fluttered to the floor. Wyatt will never agree to this. Wyatt doesn't get a vote. Neither do you. I'm exercising my legal right as majority owner. You have 30 days to vacate. Silence. Complete silence. Even the friends had stopped laughing. Phones down, eyes wide. This wasn't funny anymore. You can't do this. Sloane's voice shook. Where will we go? What about Greer? You should have thought about that before you hit me with a ladle in front of your friends. I bent down, picked up another document. This one's fun. It's a detailed report of every instance of abuse over the past 3 years. Dates, times, photos, audio recordings, video recordings. I documented everything. Her face went white. Actually white, like someone had drained all the blood out of her. You recorded us? Every Wednesday, every insult, every order, every time you called me useless, every time you made me feel like garbage. I smiled. It felt strange on my face. Foreign, but good. These new phones have excellent recording quality. And my hearing aid has a recording function built in. Technology is amazing. One of the friends stood up, grabbed her purse. I should go. That's smart, I said. Because you're all over these recordings too. Every laugh, every snide comment, every time you treated me like the help, all documented, all dated. All admissible in court if it comes to that. They scrambled, all of them, suddenly remembering appointments, places to be. The front door opened and closed, 4 times in less than 2 minutes. Sloane stood alone in her perfect living room, surrounded by papers that were about to destroy her perfect life. The real estate agent will call tomorrow about showing times, I said. Keep the house clean. First impressions matter when you're trying to sell. I turned to walk away. Back to my room, my tiny room in the house I owned. Wait. Her voice was small now. Scared. The mask completely gone. What about Wyatt? What about my daughter? I stopped, didn't turn around. Wyatt made his choice 3 years ago when he watched you take my house and didn't stop you. When he watched you treat me like nothing and stayed silent, he chose you over me. Now he gets to live with that choice. And Greer? I've filed for grandparents' rights. My lawyer is very confident, especially with all this documentation. Judges don't look kindly on emotional abuse of elderly family members, or on parents who allow their children to witness that abuse. You're destroying our family. I did turn around then, looked her in the eyes, really looked at her. She was young, beautiful, successful. She had everything, and she'd still felt the need to crush someone with nothing. No, Sloane. You destroyed this family the day you decided I was worth less than the dirt on your shoes. I'm just making sure you can't do it to anyone else. I walked back to the kitchen, left her standing there. Left her to think about what she'd done, left her to face the consequences of 3 years of cruelty. The sound came from the living room 5 seconds later. A crash, glass shattering, pieces scattering across hardwood floor. I didn't even have to look. I knew what it was. Sloane's champagne glass. The expensive crystal one she always used. The one that cost more than my weekly grocery budget. It slipped right out of her fingers, smashed on the floor, pieces everywhere, glittering in the late afternoon light, just like her perfect life. The house sold in 11 days, not even 2 weeks. 3 offers came in the first weekend, all above asking price. Young families who love the neighborhood. The school district, the big yard. I accepted the highest offer, closed 3 weeks later. The money from the sale paid off the remaining mortgage. My 60% came to $287,000. After legal fees and realtor commissions, I walked away with $265,000, more than I'd ever had in my life, more than enough to start over. Sloan and Wyatt moved to an apartment across town, 2 bedrooms. Small, nothing like the house they'd lost. I heard through mutual acquaintances that they were struggling, that Sloan had to cut back on her lifestyle, that Wyatt picked up extra work travel to make ends meet. I didn't care. The Adult Protective Services investigation found evidence of financial and emotional abuse. They didn't press charges, I didn't want them to, but the documentation went into a permanent file, something that would come up in any future custody or legal proceedings. The grandparents' rights case took 4 months. My lawyer was right. The judge looked at the evidence, listened to the recordings, saw the photos, read the documented timeline of abuse. "Mrs. Winters," the judge said, "I'm granting you supervised visitation rights. Every other weekend. Holidays to be split. This is in the best interest of the child, who should maintain a relationship with her grandmother." Sloan sat in the courtroom crying. Wyatt wouldn't look at me. But I didn't look at them either. I looked at Greer, sitting with the court-appointed advocate. She was 4 now, old enough to understand some of what was happening. She saw me looking, and she smiled. I bought a small apartment, 2 bedrooms, one for me, one for Greer when she visited, ground floor, nice kitchen, window box for flowers, close to a park, close to a library, my space, my rules, my home. The first time Greer came to visit, she walked in carefully, looking around, cautious, like she was waiting for someone to yell at her. "This is Grammy's house," I told her. "And in Grammy's house, we have fun, we make messes, we laugh loud, and we make soup." Her eyes got big. "We can make soup?" "The best soup you've ever tasted." I took her hand, led her to the kitchen. "And you know what the secret is?" She shook her head. "Cooking with love, and cooking with people who love you. That's what makes it good." We made soup that afternoon. She stood on a step stool, helped me chop carrots with a plastic knife, stirred the pot with a wooden spoon, tasted it and declared it perfect. When Sloan came to pick her up, Greer hugged me tight. "I love you, Grammy." "I love you too, baby." Sloan wouldn't look at me. Just took Greer's hand and left. The court order said she had to be civil, professional. She followed the rules. Barely. I didn't care about Sloan anymore. Didn't care about her opinion or her feelings or her regret. She'd made her choices. Now she lived with them. I cared about Greer, about teaching her what I should have taught her from the beginning. That respect matters. That kindness matters. That no one has the right to make you feel small. The soup Greer and I made that first visit, we eat it every time she comes now. It's become our thing, our tradition. She's learning to cook, learning to measure ingredients, learning that food tastes better when you make it with people who see you, who value you, who love you. Sometimes I think about that Wednesday, the ladle, the soup dripping down my face. The moment everything changed, people ask me if I regret what I did, if I wish I'd handled it differently, if I feel bad about destroying my son's life. I don't. You can only be pushed so far before something breaks. For 3 years, I bent. I accommodated. I made myself smaller and smaller, trying to fit into their idea of what I should be. That Wednesday, I stopped bending. I stood up straight. And when I did, I realized I was taller than all of them. They lost their dream house, lost their perfect life, lost the free childcare and the financial cushion my presence provided. They lost a lot. But I got something back, something I'd lost along the way, something more valuable than any house or any money or any relationship with a son who'd forgotten who raised him. I got myself back. If you've ever been treated like you're invisible, called useless, or had to fight for what's yours, remember this. Quiet doesn't mean powerless. Silence doesn't mean acceptance. Sometimes the person everyone underestimates is the one who changes everything. To anyone fighting their own battle right now, Your comeback doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be real. Document everything, plan carefully, and when you're ready, stand up straight and show them who they've been underestimating. What lesson hit you hardest from this story? And if you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Would you have stayed silent or fought back? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear your story. There's more where the science so where this came from. Click the next video on your screen right now and watch another powerful story from our channel. Don't stop here. Keep watching. And make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on so you never miss a story. Hit that bell icon. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you would have done. I'll see you in the next one.